Hey, folks. How's everybody out there doing? Oh, my goodness. How's everyone? Happy New Year. Oh, my gosh. I cannot believe last year went by so fast. It was crazy. What about you, Heather?
No, it drug on forever and ever, actually. But no, I'm
Okay.
just kidding. Yeah, I think it's great that we've got a new
Crazy.
year. It feels good to put off the old and bring on the new and all kinds of fun stuff we got planned for the year. So I'm excited
Dude,
about it.
I hope, okay, here's what I hope in the new year. I mean, no resolutions or anything, but here's what I hope. I hope you get to see your grandkids as many times as I got to see mine last year. I know you didn't get a chance
I
for that very
That
often,
won't
but
happen unless I move back to Montana.
okay. All right. Well, I had to, is that rubbing that in? I
Yeah,
shouldn't do that.
it was
Should I?
rubbing it in, and that's okay. I like you still. We'll be friends anyway. But no, I was just kidding.
So where are you coming from? What country, city, state, USA, planet, all that stuff? Look at all the people out there. Hey, can I go from Ontario? There you go. We got Mike out there from Niagara Falls. Wow, nice. Waiting for a great show. There you go. Low country, South Carolina. Love it. Did Geeks on Tour? Was that Geeks on Tour out there that put something up? Did they put something up? Oh, I thought they might have because they're not where they normally are. So I thought maybe they would
Right,
put where they're
right.
from. So wanted to see if they put that up. Hey, there's Richard from Monrovia, California. Nice to see you, Richard. Oh, look, there's Dave. Hey, Dave, how are you? And it's perfect. Got the Heather first, as usual. That's good. Always ladies first.
Yeah.
Rub the great. I did. I'm sorry. Canucks rule. There you go. Now they got that going. Memphis, Tennessee. There you go. Just down the street from Andrew. There you go. Love it.
That's right.
Love it. Good to see you guys and great to see you folks. Should be a great show today. I'm looking forward to this one. This one's going to be awesome because it's talking at something. I'm finally back on something Google talking. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm going to be happy and fun. And I've met this guy a couple times. We've had a great time. Without further ado, Randall. Randall, how are you, sir?
And you're muted, Randall.
Unmute your mic there.
How are you?
There you go.
How are
Doing
you?
fantastic. How about you?
Happy New Year, Heather and Michael. It's been a while.
And to you as well. And to you as
You
well.
as well, yeah. I was looking through, I wrote a blog post about today's show, and I was looking through. You've been on the show 4 other times. This is your 5th time to join us
Is
today.
it?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
That's
wow.
awesome.
I feel like a Saturday Night Live host.
I know, that's what I was thinking as well.
Wow, 5 times.
Randall, let people know where you are located.
Oh, I'm from New York.
Nice.
New York City and New Paltz, New York, which is about an hour and a half outside of the city, and I go back and forth between the two.
Awesome.
If you're familiar with the area, it's probably about 12 miles east of Hyde Park, where FDR used to live.
Awesome.
Oh, very
Fantastic.
cool.
Lots of
Yeah.
info right there. Lots of info you
Yeah.
threw at us. That's fantastic.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's kick it off. We're going to talk. I know you from the Product Expert Group, and what an awesome guy. I mean, very thorough in giving answers whenever you're helping people out, and I really do appreciate that. I learn a lot from a lot of the stuff that you put out there as answers. But we're going to talk some Google Assistant stuff. Not much has changed, has it?
No,
Not really.
It hasn't. You know, but it's still evolving. It's a technology that is going to continue to evolve, I think, from Google's point of view. And I think we all get surprised when there are new features added, and it drives us crazy because that means we have to learn something new. But it's great. It makes life a little easier.
For sure.
You know, as we were talking, you know, before the show, you know, routines for lights and automating a lot of things in the home, and it makes it keeps you from having to get up and go flip the switch.
You know,
Exactly.
okay,
Just
so
be lazy. Go ahead, Heather.
Yeah,
so
right,
that's interesting because you both have said that there's not really a lot that's new, but I've noticed that the assistant is working better. So although there's like not necessarily new features or things to talk about for, you know, that you might not know you could do now, you can type thing. I would say that
Valid
what's
point.
new is what's happening behind the scenes that we don't actually get to see. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Or
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. You know, it's artificial intelligence, and every time you do something, it learns, or every time it doesn't do something and somebody sends feedback, I believe, I mean, because they don't tell us what they're doing.
Yeah.
We have to learn it just like most of the users. But every time something changes or we send feedback, I think they're pretty cool in saying, "Hey, we didn't think about this. Let's pop this in." But yeah, there's still some rough spots with it, but it works pretty well. It works
So
pretty
in
well.
talking about assistant, when we talk about assistant, I guess basically we're talking about, a lot of people think, oh, an assistant, like a virtual assistant or something like that, or they think of different things when they think of assistant, because I know the A one has Echo that they use and stuff like that. And Alexa, of course. And I just said everybody's device off. I said it anyway, but anyway, there you go.
Good thing
Sorry.
I've got earphones in,
Yeah.
so she didn't
Plus-
hear that.
Well, plus there's what the Apple version as well.
Mhm. They're
you
doing
know,
that now.
looking
Absolutely.
for-
It's supposed to be coming out. And then
Yeah.
you got
Mhm.
Siri
That's
and
the
you
lady
got,
with the S.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and you got all kinds of stuff. So I'm just trying to set everybody's device off. I'm hoping I can do that right now.
Get them all.
No, but so to understand the assistant, I guess more of what some of the one of the things that I absolutely love, and it's not necessarily new, but I talked to you a little bit about this beforehand, is the fact that you can do things ahead of time, like turn this off in 15 minutes, or do this in an hour, or do this in thank you, Russ. Look at there.
Hey, I want to bring
Thank you,
something up
sir.
as well. Since we got
Yes.
Russ's gift on the screen, I wanted to mention that you notice there's a little symbol next to his name right there. You see that? Every
No.
time he makes a comment, there's a little symbol. Do you know why?
I do know why. Does
You
everyone
know
else
why?
know why?
Yeah, I'm wondering if anybody else knows why. It'd be interesting to see. Anyway, so back to the conversation.
No. Yeah. See
He
if
gets to
anybody
speak.
can.
He gets to speak because he paid.
Priority.
Is that what? Is that what
That's hey, you're pretty close.
That's pretty close.
pretty
That's pretty
close.
close. Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
close. We'll explain in a little bit, but see if anybody out there can guess why. That's pretty cool. So yes.
Mike says
love
searching, and she's still yapping. You set off his devices over there.
There
Pat
you
has
go.
made it. Hello, Pat. We're so glad you're here.
So talk on that. One thing, I mean, because I know you mentioned routines. You do routines versus what I do in doing individual things. So talk to that a little bit and explain to people some of the things that you can do. It's really actually pretty cool.
Well, one of the things that I enjoy, as we were talking about earlier, I've got various lights set up using the lights that are connected. The lights that I have 2 sets. I have a bunch of hue bulbs, and then I think I have some called magic bulbs or something that were actually pretty cheap and don't need a bridge, which I thought was pretty cool. I could just set them up with Wi-Fi. But the app for it is really pretty bad. So I don't really tinker. They're just in lamps that I just turn on and off. I don't use any of the colors, and it has a gazillion colors that I'm not running a disco here. So I don't really set them up to, set a mood. But I do have, in the Hue app, which of course then translates to the Google Home app, I've set most of my lights to go on at dusk or sunset. So, and I've set them so that they don't just like poof come on. At sunset, my lights will gradually fade in, and I've set the fade in for 30 minutes.
Wow.
So they gradually fade up. As it gets dark outside, as you can see behind me, as it gets dark outside, the lights gradually go up with the darkness, so that they're at full brightness or 75% or whatever I set them at. And then, when I'm in the den, I've got them set to turn off at 12:30, but I begin that process at midnight and they fade out, at which time it's actually kind of my alarm clock, because it's like 12:30, shut stuff down. At 12 o'clock, I start shutting things down. And at 12:30, I get up, I take the dogs out, and the lights behind me on the stairs turn on, and they're on from 12:30 to 12:45, which gives me time to deal with the dogs and bring them in and get them upstairs. and then the bedroom light comes on at 12:30 as well, as does the Nest thermostat, because I've got a 2-zone house.
So
So
cool.
the
That's so cool.
thermostat, you know, the heat is off pretty much, or it's set to 60 degrees upstairs all day long. And then at about 12:15, it kicks up to 68. And then at 1:15, it
That's
goes
awesome.
to 50 degrees.
Wow.
And it then kicks in again at 7:30, 8 o'clock, so that I'm not getting up to a super cold house. And then downstairs comes on at like 7, so that when I come down, I'm totally warm. And then,
That's awesome.
so if I have to take a shower in the middle of the afternoon, I have to make sure I
Mm.
turn the heat on upstairs, because it's
Wow.
really chilly upstairs, because it's
Love
set
that.
to 60 degrees.
So it's like
So-
you're more of a routine user than you are
Mhm.
necessarily a talk to the assistant user, right? I mean, not to say that you don't. I'm just saying that's not the way you
Yeah.
work. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, to me, it's just a more organized way of managing this Internet of Things that I have in the house. And it's bad enough that I talk to the dogs, so I try very rarely to have to speak to the assistant if I don't have to. I mean, I
Right.
use the assistant,
That's
for
awesome.
cooking and for setting timers and,
Very
Mhm.
cool. Okay.
those kinds of things. Or I will talk to it when I tell the Hub Max, for example, to, watch CNBC on, YouTube TV. But
Nice.
generally, I try to avoid trying to have a conversation
Right.
with my assistant. It's like, I need you to do this, I need this now, and boom. But anything else, it's all organized, obsessive compulsive Randall, getting it set up so that I, set it, forget it, and move on, so that I can
love that.
do other things.
I think
Wow,
that's,
that's
Yeah.
I think that's,
awesome.
yeah, I think that's fantastic. And that's probably a great way to do that. My thing is, and we kind of touched on this a little bit. I like to use the commands only because if, let's say, I go to bed early, but the wife stays out, she's watching something, she doesn't have to work the next day for whatever reason, and she's finished from watching something. I don't want lights doing things whenever we're in the middle of that kind of thing. And then we have to give a command anyway to stop
Right.
it from doing that or change it. So a lot of times what I'll do is I will go ahead and, like what I told you, I said, I'm getting ready to go in the bedroom in just a second. Rather than wake her, I can just say, turn on the closet light, not the
Right.
full light or whatever. I can just do that. And then I can also say, hey, in 15 minutes, turn this one off, because that's how long it's going to take me to get through the kitchen, get everything done, and then boom, it'll turn it off. So it's really kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to see a different perspective, one that
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. I think it's kind of cool. And then that way you don't forget. You
Right.
don't even have to think about it. You don't even have to think about it.
But here's the other interesting thing to that.
Mhm.
I live in a rural area, and when I'm not in my house, in the country house in New York, in New Paltz, I'm down in the city, and that routine is working while I'm away. So even though I've got an alarm in the house up here and all of that kind of stuff, the lights are doing their thing as if I'm here. I don't even have to futz with home and away.
That's nice.
They are doing their thing even when I'm gone. And I like when I've gone to a Google event out in California, I'll tell my neighbors I'm away, and my neighbor is such a great guy. He was like, I was up getting some water or something. I was down in the kitchen and I saw your lights going on, and I called the cops. Because I knew you weren't home.
Love
And
it.
so,
Love it.
the assistant is just doing its thing. And he goes, first the light went off downstairs, and then I saw, the light come on the stairs. And I was like, okay, somebody's in
going
the house.
upstairs.
Somebody's going upstairs. So I called the cops. The cops came. His wife told me the week that I got back, she goes, I told him that you probably had things on timers and not to bother with it, but he did it anyway. And so the cops came. It was just a mess for them. But at the end of the day, it made the house look lived in while I wasn't
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
And that's something you can't do if you don't set them up that way, because the way you have them set up, Michael, is you're talking to them and they aren't necessarily on routines and timers. But this, I don't even have to worry about it, which means I've taken those, remember in the early 90s when you would go to Walmart or someplace and buy those plugs with the timers on them that you would stick in those are all gone. I got a stack of those that I can sell you if you want to use that for tinkering
Love
one day.
it.
But so the assistant has helped, in that way for me. But again, it also is very, very helpful because I have the Nest thermostats as well. And because the house is 2-zone and because I'm on oil, I don't necessarily burn that much fuel because I'm not wasting it. It's not on at night when I'm under the covers. If I go away, it shuts down. I was out visiting family in California for Thanksgiving. And, when I flew into JFK, I was like, oh, I've got to go up, drive up an hour and a half. So I went to the phone. I said, turn the heat up. And it was still a little chilly. I mean, after being away for a week, it gets really cold. But at that time, I set it to, I think, 55 just to keep the pipes and things from freezing. And then I cranked it up to 70. I normally keep it at 68, but I crank it up for 70. So during that hour and a half drive,
it's getting up to 10.
I walk into a nice toasty home. So
that's awesome.
It has its conveniences when if you set it up. I mean, it just takes a lot of time and patience. And because I have OCD, I like fiddle with that a lot.
Oh, I agree. One thing I've done, and I've talked about this before on the show, but I've added these Eufy smart locks with their fingerprint and everything else. But if I need to let somebody in, that is one of the coolest things. One of my son came in from the one that lives in Columbia, South Carolina, came to visit and got there here before we did, got out of work and everything. I was able to let them in with that. And those kind of things like that, there's so many conveniences that way that is so nice to have that ability and capability. I think there's so much you can do now. I mean, I think Mark put the post up, or Heather, you put the post up that Mark had talking about, 30,000 smart home devices now. And it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. So, and one thing that's interesting to me though, about you is you have both. You have A and G. Anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, the different assistants.
Yes.
You have both.
I do. And the reason, so the reason I have both is I beta tested A before there was even a G. So, and I believe that was in 2013.
Nice.
Wow.
And I got one and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I've watched it mature as well. So, I've been using it. I mean, I had the one in the kitchen, and like I said, I use it for the timer. I use it for, all the stuff in the kitchen and, conversions for, okay, I'm, cutting a recipe into quarters or this or eighths or whatever. And, what's the measurement, so it comes in handy that way, which makes it easy from flipping through a book when your hands are full of gunk from cooking and doing whatever it is you're doing in the kitchen. So they're all just very, very convenient. And the only thing that I just have to remember, and I think people should remember, is that these devices aren't human. They don't think like we do.
That's right.
And and Michael, as you probably recognize, like I do, when we're in the forums, you get people who come in and they're like, I tell it to do da 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 da, and it doesn't do it. And it's like, no, you're thinking like it's a human, and it's
Great
not.
point.
And it's programmed to react and respond to certain things, and you have to talk to it the way that it's expecting you to talk to it, not as if you're talking to another human. And I think
right.
that's probably the most frustrating thing for people when they start using these devices, because they say, oh, it's not responsive. And it's because you're talking to it like it's a human, and it's not a human.
And
Yeah.
that's interesting, because I know when I first started with the assistant, specifically the G assistant, I struggled with the conversation part of it very much, because like you say, I expected it to respond the way I wanted it to, and to understand me and my language, right? And so so that was frustrating. However, after all this time of using it, and like we said at the very beginning, the intelligence part of it has gotten so much better. It does understand me, and it will send me a message sometimes to say, is this what you wanted us to do, basically? Like, did you expect this device to respond, or did you want a different one? And I'm like, well, yeah, you did exactly what I wanted. Good girl,
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Well,
and go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I've had experiences like that. It's kind of been frustrating for me for the past couple of days, and I just don't know whether or not it's because I'm using this Pixel 6 Pro, and I kid you not, I'm to the point now where I'm hiding my phone when I want to talk to any of my devices, because this phone is like picking up, and something is wrong with that algorithm or whatever they got in the cloud, because it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's the device that should be responding is the one that is closest to you and best able to carry out the command. And I kid you not, I can have the phone in the den, and I can tell the Max that's in the kitchen, because I'm making breakfast or doing whatever, to watch CNBC on YouTube TV, and it doesn't do it. And I go to the phone, and sure enough, CNBC is just going to town on my phone. So it's in my pocket so that it can't be catch the.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
So
you got a good point.
It's annoying, is what it is. It's more annoying than anything, and it makes it sometimes I mean, anger is probably not the right word, but it's just frustrating.
Sure.
Because
but I will admit, hearing a product expert say that's a little frustrating is kind of nice. Thank you for that, Randall.
Yeah. Well, it can be maddening. I've used a few spiced words for it from time to time, or
and anyone
when I don't want her to talk,
and anyone who's done that has also heard the response, "I'm trying my best."
Yes.
Guilty.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I had a user in the forum the other day, and I was helping him, and I think it was a routine or something. And he goes, "Gosh, I wish one day I get to the point where I can master my Google Assistant." And I basically responded to him, "Dude, nobody ever masters the Google Assistant. We just coexist with it and pay for the electricity that it uses."
Yep, there you go. That's pretty much sums it up. One thing I wanted to bring up, Russ, is I think I started, if you have it, but it was, what does this say? What did that say? I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. We'll go to that one first.
Now if Assistant would just turn my Google Hub Max camera. Yeah, one thing I wish there was that integration where you could bring your whatever your camera devices are through Google. I know Nest used to, but now the new ones don't, or vice versa. Bring it up on your TV. It'd be nice to be able to bring that up, to be able to see those kind of things, some of that stuff. I know he mentioned that, and he's right. I would like to see that kind of stuff, because I know the other program does that. And I've done some things, like, for example, and you brought up a good point earlier about some things that the phone does and this doesn't and this doesn't and that. Like, for example, text messages. Like, I know
Text message.
A does that, but G doesn't. But what I have, there is a workaround using if this, then that, where I can send something to my wife using a command in the G, and it actually does send her a text message, which works. So it does, but you'd have to set up every single person, et cetera, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So
and in
there
fact,
are workarounds.
I just told somebody about that
Mhm,
the other day.
mhm.
In it was
In
like,
the
no, you
forum,
can't. Yeah, you can't do that. But
there's
you
definitely a
know,
workaround.
there are workarounds for it, and I don't know why that is.
Mhm.
I do know that when it started, you could use various types of phone
Yes, yes.
services with the device, and
Mhm,
now it's limited to Google Fi, Google Voice, and then
mhm.
mobile something in Italy and
Oh,
maybe
okay,
Australia. I think it's those four
okay.
devices that can use phone
Interesting.
services or something. So it's really really weird. And again, we don't know what the decision was. It's probably regulatory or something, or
Yeah,
I
it's
just don't
possible.
know. Yeah.
You never know, you never know. All right, so my hub and two phones answer when the Volvo commercials say G drives me crazy. Sometimes all of them answer and sometimes just one annoying and odd. Yeah, that is true. I mean, it does listen, so it's listening for that command. So
Yeah.
I know that's a huge feature request, and all I can say is keep leaving feedback. A lot of people want a specific command, that they
Oh,
can
it would
use
be
instead
so
of that one.
nice.
I
Yeah.
mean, they say that all the time. So I don't know that that'll ever happen, but keep sending feedback. That's all I tell people
Yeah.
whenever that
It's
happens.
it's a it's a that is probably one of the most frequent requests slash complaints.
I hear you. I hear you.
The inability to um, have your own launch phrase for it. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, it does get kind of tedious having to say
Mhm.
okay, G
Yeah.
every time
Mhm.
it's like that's two
I
extra
agree.
words
I
Well,
agree.
and that for
versus
me, I think it's the like what Jolyn mentioned is other things setting it off. It'd be really nice
Mhm.
to not have to say OKG during our show because
Mhm. Mhm.
setting it off for other people wouldn't be an issue, right? But
Mhm.
every once in a
right.
while somebody forgets and we say it anyway, and then the chat goes crazy with you just set off every
That's
device in
true.
my home, so
That's
it would
true.
be nice to not have that. But then I wonder, what would your go phrase be
What a
then?
big command. Yes.
That would be a fun thing to type in the chat. What would you use
That
as your
would be.
as your go phrase?
Yeah. Tell me what your phrase would be. Anybody that's out there, put it in the comments what you think your phrase would be. I'd love to hear some of those trigger phrases. So, yeah, it would be over the top. Exactly. We're going to start wrapping up here, but because we're going to meet in the backstage pass. Anybody that doesn't know, we do have a community, a paid for community, and afterward we talk to any guests that we have on. So you're welcome to join that community. Anybody that's interested, please go to tinkeringwithtech.net and you can find that information there. Please do that. Randall, let's summarize. Let's just finish up on here. Assistant, where do you think in the future, since we're in a brand new year, where do you think assistant's going to go? I mean, where are we going with that? You think? Where do you think Google's going to take?
Where do I think it's going to go, or what do I
Yeah.
want it to do?
Well, we can answer that two ways. It's open floor for you.
If I had my, jokingly, if I had my way, it would make me breakfast every morning, but we know
Okay.
that's not going to happen, right?
Mhm.
It's hard to say, and
Mhm.
I think that because there's so many things that I would think Google has to think about when you use something like this. And I think privacy is probably the biggest hurdle to allowing it to do all that it's probably capable of doing. And I
Yeah.
think there needs to be a comfort level for the individual. Again, I don't know any of this, but I just think
Mhm.
about how I would
Sure.
or
Sure.
what I would allow it to
Mhm.
do, or what I would give it access to in order to totally make me a permanent couch potato. You know, I mean, so, you know, it's like, would I want it to automatically, you know, call my food delivery service and give away my last 10 orders, or my previous order, so that I didn't have to think about, oh my God, do I need toilet paper? Do I need this? Do I need that? You
Interesting.
know, I mean, it would, you know, so it's like, do I want to do that? I mean, I need to be human and do some things for myself so that I
Mhm.
don't become totally worthless and useless on this earth.
That's
So,
funny. That's funny.
so
I love it. Great point. Great point. Yeah, I like that. That's all good stuff. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, it's a who knows where it's going to go this year. You know, I know that they're talking about, and there's huge talk, and it's not anything. They've already leaked it, but there's a watch coming out, Pixel
yeah,
Watch,
yeah.
etc., and stuff like that. So more wearables. Who knows? They may go back to glass. Who knows? But anyway,
Did you have
yeah.
glass?
So who
Did
knows?
you?
I
Yeah,
did
I had.
not.
Yeah.
I did not.
Oh, see, I had
Yeah.
glass, and I still have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, who knows where we'll go in the future, etc. They're always talking about different things. And I think it is getting smarter. I think it could even get more smarter. And you know, how smart do you want? I think you made a good point. How smart do you really want it to be?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Are we taking our minds out of everything? I already think that way
Right.
now. If you think about, like, we don't even carry encyclopedias or anything like that. Nobody reads much anymore. It's more of they can just ask and get the answer. So I don't know.
Like,
How much do we want to get out
yeah,
of
but I
that?
mean, you walk in one day, and it barks, I just bought your wife this, and it shows
Yeah.
up, and it's like, why did you buy that? You know, so it's just, you know, and then it's like, well, based on this and this, and your purchase of this and your purchase of that, we figured you didn't have this, so
She
here
was
it is.
browsing last night, so I went ahead and bought it for her.
Exactly. So, you
Oh,
know,
that
it's like,
starts something right now.
yeah, how much do you want
Valid
to
point. Valid
relinquish?
point. Yeah, valid point.
I've seen too many sci-fi movies or TV shows where the smart house becomes too smart and locks you in or locks you out or won't let you in the fridge because you weigh too much, or who the
Yeah.
heck knows what it does. So yeah, I don't want to talk
Yeah,
to that. I don't want to have that kind of a
yeah,
machine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jetsons is
Exactly.
about my speed, though. The Jetsons are
Yeah.
about my speed.
Yeah.
There you
If you can
go.
can go to a box and say hamburger and receive one that's edible,
Right.
that would be great.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Randall, I can't tell you how much I really do appreciate. I love whenever you come on. We always have a great conversation. We get to talk Google stuff, you know, fun stuff.
Anytime. I
love
enjoy
it.
joining you
love
guys. It's a lot of fun. Good conversation.
We're going to start the outro here, but listen, stick around with this because I'm going to give you the link so you can come into the Zoom meeting with us for all of our community members in the back. Go ahead.
I do have to answer this. Russ
go
said
ahead.
that he wouldn't tell what it was about his little thing, but there were some guesses. He's a member of the YouTube channel. He has a badge. He sure does, and he's a member of the YouTube channel. So yes,
There you
that's exactly
go.
what it is.
We have some winners.
what that
Yes, he's
special
a
thing
member of
was,
the
yeah.
YouTube channel. Thank
That's
you, Russ,
brand
for that
new, so I
support as
wanted to
well.
make sure we mentioned
It is a
that.
brand new thing we just started this year with my YouTube channel. I just started to do that. So he is the first member of that channel. And thank you, Russ. I appreciate that. So he gets little badges and little emojis and stuff that he can do a little bit different than everybody else. All right. Thank you, folks. The link's going out there. Heather just put it in. I saw that she put it in. Community members, come in and join us. Talk to Randall a little bit in the backstage pass. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Randall, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year to you.
Anytime. Happy New Year to you, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Heather.
Yep.
Thank you, Heather. Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.